When a team bursts into a room, it needs to build on the element of surprise and prevent the terrorists from reacting.
Alright y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. Okay, so today we're checking out another episode of SAS Survival Secrets. Now, I'm not going to be checking out the entire episode just because, again, these are an hour long, so it would be pretty lengthy, but I'm going to break it up, so it's probably going to be about maybe 20 minutes of this episode, and I'm really excited to check it out. You guys already know I love checking out this series. I would check out more of it, but again, these are relatively long, so I think this is the last episode that I'm going to check out. But this one is specifically focusing on a building assault, and I guess, so they had some VIPs, the VIPs got taken hostage, and now they're trying to assault this building and get them out of there. And again, we do sort of have a real world reference to how well these guys can do it. Now, this is from 2003, so some of the equipment might look a little bit outdated, but I think the tactics are definitely going to hold true, so let's check it out.
After being fully briefed about the incident, the sniper teams will be deployed around the target area.
Such a good looking
Each
rifle.
allocated a side of the building to cover, based on a color labeling system. For our scenario, the area is split into 4 zones: white, green, black, and red.
Okay.
White normally being the front of the target building.
Yeah, we've never done anything like that.
Okay.
Makes sense though.
Let's move through the police cordon now, right? You're going to move into red. Going to cut down this wall of this building here, and then cut through, and I'll show you the position from down there, yeah? Okay? Any probs? No.
Those rifles are so freaking cool, man. I'd love to shoot one. Holy cow. I'm liking the all black too. Even though they're snipers, they gotta rock that all black, I guess. So cool.
Okay, lads. Stronghold just down here to the right, right? It's about 150 metres away.
Okay,
Each sniper
so
team will take it.
now I've not done many hostage rescue scenarios, but it does make sense. You don't want to push your snipers out too far, especially if you do need to take a really precise shot. Of course, you don't want to be like 600 meters away. It's usually not that necessary for a hostage rescue as well, because it's usually not going to be that many people, or even any, patrolling on the outside of the building.
In turns on duty. 6 hours on, 6 hours off. Snipers will wear the same black kit as the assault team when positioning in a built-up area, but can switch to a ghillie suit when hiding in deep foliage.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay, we're looking on to black, yeah? We've got a little view of red as well, once a little block of red, yeah? So what we're going to do is we just move forward another maybe 5, 8 metres, try and pick up a position there, get down, just check you get a decent sight picture there.
All right. Have some good coverage of everything.
The sniper will have at least 2 rifles, one for daytime use and one fitted with a night vision scope. They will have been through exactly the same training as every other member of the SAS and may therefore be called upon to join the assault team if necessary.
That's cool. Imagine that.
The sniper teams are coordinated from the operations center, normally by a sniper commander who will be in contact with the teams via radio.
That's cool.
It is his decision and orders that will initiate a sniper assault.
Okay, so I know when I was on the CQB team, we did train with utilizing our designated marksman as sort of like a signaling. So, you know, they would have a specific target, they would aim on that target, and they would fire a round, and whenever that round went off, that'd be the signal for the assault team to push in. So that is one way to do it. I'm not exactly sure if that's how they're going to be implementing it here, but when they're saying a sniper assault, that's kind of what I'm thinking of.
0, this is a radio check, over.
Roger, Sniper 1, come back.
Yeah, 3 in position on black, over.
Right, let's have a look at the sniper team
Oh,
in
yeah.
a terrorist situation. The spotter's role. He's looking through the binos. He's got a wider view of vision of the target area. He's also looking for any movement in the building. As soon as he sees that movement, he will notify his sniper. The sniper will then pick up his weapon, look through his telescopic sight, and try and pick up the X-rays, or the enemy in other words, which is in the stronghold.
I think it's funny how the spotters had like binos. I mean, I'm sure the binos are going to be appropriate in some senses, especially if you're going to be like moving around a lot or having to, you know, cover a wide range. But generally a spotting scope is going to be a lot more handy and usually have better clarity and magnification as well.
This information is being relayed
Nowadays.
back to control at all times, reporting back any information on the target area.
The old computers, holy
The sniper
cow.
rifle of choice of the SAS is the L96A1.
Hell yeah.
Very accurate weapon. Accurate up to 1,000 meters. Let's run through the weapon. You've got a butt.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
This butt can be extended or shortened depending on the size of the person who's operating the weapon. You must keep the weapon on your shoulder nice and firm at all times when you're going to take a shot. The telescopic sight. It's 8
love
times
the green on
magnification
it.
by 42 mils peripheral vision. You've got some Velcro on both sides. Attached to that is going to be your signaling device. This system pressure switch here is attached to a small transmitter which will send a signal back to the control every time you've got a target.
Oh,
Press
okay.
that, a green light will appear back in the control center. They know that you've got a target in your sights. You're
That's
ready to
cool. I've
There
not
are
seen that
times when the
before.
commanding officer may decide a sniper-led assault is more appropriate than a CQB.
Huh. That's kind of
In a
interesting. I
sniper
wonder
mode.
how you would like point out, like, would you do it if there's like a new target that shows himself, or whenever you actually have a target in your sights? Because yeah, it might be kind of confusing if, you know, there's just one dude that you're seeing over and over again. And it is a really cool system. Obviously, radios are going to be preferred, so you could actually give, you know, a little bit more detail and description. But if you're like really stuck in your sights and you're getting ready to take a shot, or you want to maintain ready to take a shot, you don't want to mess up your position too much. You don't want to be messing around with radios. So that is a cool alternative.
Assault, the commander will have decided in advance how many green lights he needs to have the best chance of a successful assault. He will wait patiently until he sees as many green lights as possible before giving the command to attack.
Okay, that's cool.
So
That is
what
really
if,
cool.
in our siege scenario, an opportunity arose where snipers have the chance to eliminate the terrorists with minimum risk to the hostages.
That makes a lot of sense.
This tactic would also utilize a ground assault team as backup.
So cool, man. Oh. Look how freaking
It takes
menacing that
patience,
is.
nerve, and a tremendous amount of skill to operate a sniper rifle.
True that. Man, it must be stressful for him, the sniper commander, just like watching that.
When the moment comes to give the green light, some kind of distraction will be arranged to give the assault team a split-second advantage.
Okay.
Sending.
Nice.
All stations, stand by. Stand by. Go.
What was that? Nice. And oh, they're just going, they're running in too.
The decision to perform an assault is never taken lightly, and is the last resort when all other means have been exhausted.
Yeah, we saw that with the Iranian embassy.
In the Iranian embassy siege,
There you
there were
go.
6 long days of negotiations for a peaceful conclusion before the decision was made to hand the task over to the SAS. During that time, the SAS teams waited patiently in a nearby secret location, well hidden from the public eye.
They're training a lot.
All the time we're actually in the holding area, we're practicing every sort of aspect of what may happen, you know, actually
Yep.
at the time if the assault went in. Because remember at this time, nobody really knew we'd actually get used because the police were still
Exactly.
negotiating with the terrorists inside. But we were there, stood by, just in case things kicked off.
I haven't seen that shot before. That's kind of
For
cool.
the actual floor layout of the building, initially what we actually did was we were in the barracks and we actually drew the floor plan out.
Oh
of the
yeah,
floor
he was there,
of
huh?
some of the big rooms. So we're actually walking between chalk lines, so we actually knew where doors were and walls were, things like that.
So cool.
It's just
What a
a
legend.
method of trying to get in your mind's eye where everything was, because realistically, if you're going into something like this, it's going to be dark. So you're causing confusion for the so-called enemy, and you're sort of working blind. So if
That is kind of cool to think about. It's like, of course, it'd be nice to actually make the walls and build them up. But if you don't have that option, if you just draw it on the ground, you can sort of visualize and kind of remember which routes you can actually go, or how the rooms sort of branch off, or maybe even like the depth of certain hallways. Again, having the walls itself will make everything seem a little bit more tighter and kind of just small. But it is kind of cool to be able to draw that and sort of get a basic idea of the layout and sort of how the building flows.
So if you've got that picture of the layout in your mind, you can do it without thinking, and hopefully you'll not run into a wall in the dark.
Intimate
funny.
knowledge of the target building layout is an essential commodity for hostage rescue situations. Back in Mostovia, our team have now built up an accurate picture of the blueprint of the stronghold, based on architect's plans and sniper intelligence.
Looks like a doozy.
They now have enough information to mock up a precise layout of the target.
Okay. That's
Come
cool.
through the door, double door, straight through. Immediately we turn left. All right, turn left, stairwell. Normal drills going up the stairwell, one guy covering it all the time till we get up to the where we're going to. Nice and slow.
Yep.
Up we go.
I like the
13
slow
steps
walkthrough.
on this stairwell. Up we go, up to the top of the first landing. Guy here obviously covering. Guy at the bottom covering. Pass by, up. Second set of stairs, up to the floor that we're going into. 14 stairs. Up we go.
Dang.
Get to the
They
top
got all
of the
the
stairwell.
details.
And immediately to the left-hand side is another double glass door. Open the door. Check the corridor. Good point. What you need to bring with us is a mirror, lads, yeah?
So even knowing the materials of the doors is really helpful because obviously if it's a glass door, you're going to be able to see through it. So if there's guys inside the hallway up the stairs, they're going to be able to see you coming up the stairs. So you're not going to have a sort of opportunity to hold or rest or replan once you get to the top of the stairs. So once you get to the stairs, obviously it's going to be glass. You need to push because at that point, the enemy can still see you if they're on the other side, if that makes sense.
Nobody in the corridor. Put it down. In we go. Nice and slow, steady. Up we go. Oh, wait. In position, in position. Stand by, stand by.
It might look funny,
Go.
but it works really well. Man, I freaking love the
When in the
MP5.
room in counter-terrorism, the first thing that I am looking for when I enter is my main area of threat, which is this guy here. I'm immediately going to take him out. But I must allow space behind me to allow Johnny access into the room. Once you're in the room, it's
yeah.
important. When you've adopted that position, you stay there, stand there still. You can't start running around the room because what will happen is you will end up crossing into his line of fire.
Exactly. So we call that dominant positions inside of the room. They're set so you can affect most of the room. You cover down on most of the room. Like the one man will push a little bit further so he can get, you know, a lot of the deeper threats. The two man won't go as far because you don't want each other pushing so far to the point where when you're sweeping your weapon, you're, you know, sweeping into each other. So you have certain positions that you go to inside the room so you don't, you know, end up firing on each other. And you could also clear out most of the room like that.
At the same time, Pete will come into the room, or pass me into the room, and he will be looking to make sure that none of us is taken out, in other words, shot, or if we have a stoppage. As this is going on, John Mack is in the corridor. We've got to have a man in the corridor at all times looking down there to ensure that everything works cohesively.
Yep, that long threat too.
An SAS counter-terrorist team trains ceaselessly to perfect the room clearance routine. They must be able to burst into a room and
It's so
identify
freaking
and
cool.
eliminate any threat in just a matter of seconds.
Nice, man. I love that. The freaking flashbang as they're going in, like over each other's shoulder. That was something I wish we did more, is actually bang like while we're entering. It wasn't so quick, so it would be like bang and then it would go in. But I like the way that they're doing it. It's a little bit more aggressive. I wouldn't necessarily push as the bang is getting thrown, but as the bang is going off, definitely entering the room.
When a team bursts into a room, it needs to
But,
build on the element of surprise.
hostage
and
rescue is
prevent the
different.
terrorists from reacting. An essential tool in accomplishing this task is the flashbang, also
Hell
known
yeah.
as the stun grenade. This is a key component of the anti-terrorist armory and was originally devised by the SAS.
No
Its main
kidding.
purpose is to disorientate the terrorist by letting off a deafening bang and a blinding flash of light.
Yeah, they're
No matter how
nasty.
prepared you are, this device will incapacitate anyone who happens to be in close proximity.
I love
Flashbang
flashbangs.
can produce up to 160 decibels of sound.
Ours were 180.
That's the equivalent of standing next to a jet engine.
Yeah, those things are freaking
Until
loud.
you've sat in a room with a flashbang going off you cannot believe how distracting it is. You can be the most highly trained guy, but if you've never been in a room with a flashbang before, it's going to distract you from what you want to do. And
That's really true. I mean, if you're not expecting it, even if you're like generally familiar with flashbangs, if you've never been flashbang and something goes inside the room and flashes and makes a really loud sound, not only is it going to overload your senses, but you're going to be like, okay, what just happened? Like, am I dead? Am I dead already? It is really, really brutal. Even like actually employing it, like I've thrown numerous flashbangs, but even throwing it in and when you're making entry, it will still be loud and still be bright. So you need to throw it and then have in your mind like, okay, that's going to make a loud sound. It's going to be really bright, but I need to focus on getting my danger areas and whatnot. And it's happened before where the two men would throw a flashbang and they would hit the door jamb and roll underneath me and go off. It's not that fun, but you kind of just have to expect it and suck it up because at that point the door is open and you need to go in anyway.
that's all we need. We just need that half-second element of surprise to get in that door and take care of any enemy that's in that room.
It helps a lot.
During the training, we use live flashbangs. And this is done so that you become used to them. You become immune to them. You don't actually see them. You've experienced 100, 200 times been sat in a room with flashbangs going in. So you know exactly what's going to happen.
That's funny, yep.
When throwing a flashbang, the team may choose to accompany it with tear gas.
Nice. I've not done that. That'd be pretty sick.
Orthochlorophenzomalonitrile, or CS gas, is designed to put the victim out of action by attacking the respiratory system and the lacrimal glands within about 3 to 7 seconds.
Burns
It will
real
force
quick.
closing of the eyes and breathing difficulty, rendering the victim powerless.
Yeah, you
This
should have
once
to panic
again
a bit
will cause a
too.
major distraction and major disability to any terrorist in the room. But don't forget, this is also affecting the hostage. You've got to get in there quickly, do that job quickly, so
Yeah.
you can then extract the hostages out of there. Because if you leave them too long in a gas environment, they can end up choking and possibly dying.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it's true. Being exposed to CS gas is really not that fun, especially like in the gas chamber. You're fine if you have the mask, but once you take it off and you start breathing, you can breathe for a little bit, but eventually it gets to the point where you can't take any deeper of a breath. And you're like, okay, I'm not getting as much oxygen as I need. I'm going to low-key start panicking soon. So it's really not that fun. And for a hostage, yeah, it might be even scarier than what they were dealing with before.
Normally, there will be 2 teams who alternate being on standby in a forward holding position next to the target building, ready to launch an immediate assault should the need arise.
It looks so cool. I wonder what gas mask is that? I haven't been
With the
able to find
likelihood
it.
of a peaceful conclusion slipping away by the minute, in our siege scenario, the final amendments to the deliberate assault plan are put into place.
All right.
This is my entry point with my team to go into the building. This is the stronghold. My team is going to assault. This stage here,
Hell yeah.
we have just made entry. When we get to the door, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a mirror out of the door so I can look down both sides of the corridor.
That's cool.
Start making our way, coming down towards the stronghold. We know, hopefully, there's a terrorist going to be in this other room. John Mack,
I gotta say, for 2003 production, this is pretty cool having this sort of like overhead so we can see everything. A pretty solid layout of the rooms. You can get a good idea of the materials, and then you could also see how the formations are looking, who's covering down on what. You got all the different colors and whatnot. Pretty freaking cool. But yeah, using the mirror is not something that I've ever implemented seriously. It's something that we did like just for fun, but I'm not exactly sure how practical it would be now. And especially with hostage rescue, I'm not sure if it's utilized as much nowadays.
he's covering that door to make sure if he comes out of there to take the appropriate action. We enter into the room. As soon as we've cleared the main room, John Mack will go in to the other room and take care of the other X-rays.
It's so
in
quick
the
and
adjoining
easy.
room.
That's a bad layout for those guys to be in just the rooms like that.
11th hour negotiations continue in the futile hope of a peaceful settlement. But the
Alright.
inescapable fact is, the lives of the remaining hostages are at serious risk. Our SAS team must go in without delay. In
Here
our
we
scenario,
go.
up to this point,
Hype.
local authorities were in control of the situation. Now, that dominion is soon to be handed over to the SAS. But first, let's analyze the breakdown of the assault.
Okay.
At this stage here, we've reached the first door, the entrance to the building.
Oh man, the Looney Tune hammer. It looks cool and whatnot, but man, that is an awkward way to carry it. We had to carry it on our backs and it would move around so much. That thing is it's just balanced weird. It's meant to be balanced a certain way to allow you to swing it and get a little bit more force out of it. But it is just super awkward to carry.
First door, the entrance to the building. The lead guy, which in this case is John Mack, he is not going to move until he gets touched on the shoulder by the rest of the team. What he's looking for at that point, he's looking to see if this door's booby-trapped, if there's any wires attached to it. When going up the stairs of any building, don't forget it's maybe night time. You've got your respirators on. You may be wearing night vision goggles. It's very difficult to get any perspective of distance.
True.
If you walk up the stairs normally, there's a good chance you're going to start kicking either the stair in front of you or in some cases trip over.
Yo,
So it's
so
easier to put
true.
your foot sideways up the stair as you're going up. Keeps everything nice and slow, nice and quiet.
That is a cool way to do it. So I've not done it like that, but I have done it before where I would purposely bring my foot forward until I touch the end of the stair, and then I would step up again, just so I have a little bit more depth as far as just feeling for the stairs. Because yeah, if you're not, then you're gonna bring your foot a little bit too high and you might start skipping steps, or you might try and step on the same step and it just gets really clumsy. So that's a cool way of doing it as well, at least turning your feet. And you can kind of do the same thing, turn your feet and then bring it to, you touch the end of the stairs. It's just small things, but again, falling up the stairs, it's gonna be loud and it's gonna make things a little bit like scary when you have people in front of you start falling over and whatnot.
At this stage here, we're now proceeding down the corridor. I've moved Pete to the left-hand side of that corridor. I'm at the front on the right-hand side. So we've got both weapons able to put fire down that corridor any time we happen to see a terrorist pop out of a room.
Yes, sir.
We get
Get
to
some
the
cross
door of
coverage.
the stronghold, where the hostages are. Before I make entry into that room, I will report back to control and tell them that I am in position. I may then have to hold that position for a period of time until the rest of the teams are all ready and in position to assault each room in that building simultaneously. Once every team has reported back, the commander, the OC, will then give us the standby, go. Immediately outside the building will be a distraction, a loud fireball. At the same time as that, I am opening the door. The second man will throw a flashbang into that room as I'm going through.
Hell yeah.
I am looking, immediately covering all aspects of that room to
So
see
cool.
where my main area of threat is. The speed that we go through that room and the aggression when we go through the room, ordering all the hostages, get on the floor, get on the floor. This is very important because you've got to have that control over them.
Yeah.
And they've got to realise that if they don't move, they're quickly going to get knocked down and put on the floor.
Yeah, it's good for their safety, but at the same time, it's much nicer for the assault force to be able to control them and have them get on the ground so they're not getting in the way, so you can see past them, you can see the entire room, and you can just engage the actual threats a little bit easier. Because if it is a threat, they're probably not going to get down unless they really have no intention of fighting back, which, that is a possibility. But for hostage rescue, if it's gotten to the point where the SAS are getting called, they're probably not going to be given in so easy.
I will immediately shout, room clear. This is for Pete and John Mack because they've got a second room to clear. They'll go through that door, Pete will throw in a flashbang, John Mack will enter and take out any terrorists.
I love that.
When the room is cleared, I will then move back into the primary room. Don't forget, as we're assaulting this main stronghold, every other room in that building.
What the heck? What was he aiming for? I like that. Look, you can see some of the other hits. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's going for the hinge, but that's a pretty flimsy door. And I imagine with most doors, it's not going to work out that well. So with us, when we were breaching with this thing, first of all, swinging that thing overhead would absolutely suck. Man, you'd need to have some crazy traps to be able to do that. So when we were using it, we were trying to defeat the door, the throw and the catch. So we were trying to either defeat the frame or defeat the actual mechanism itself. But we would aim midway between the middle of the door and the actual doorknob and, you know, level with the doorknob. So right around here. And that usually worked pretty well, but with some doors, yeah, it's going to be a pain in the butt.
Every other room in that building
Nice.
has been assaulted at the same time.
Hell
There could be
yeah.
another 12 teams operating in that building,
I love the repelling
clearing the
too.
rooms, making sure that the building is safe. We may have only spotted 4 or 5 terrorists, there may be more. As the hostages are getting exfilled out of the building, they get passed down the line and they will be taken out of the building and held in a secure area until they're checked and then led off for medical treatment if required.
So cool. Yeah, and as we saw with the Iranian embassy siege, that works really well. And it's a good thing as well, because when they were doing that, there was one of the terrorists actually went outside, and they didn't determine that until they actually checked everybody outside when they were searching them and whatnot. So that is a really good strategy. We didn't focus so much on the control of the occupants. We had something called a MACO, which is a marshalling area control officer, who would usually be in a room that was near the front of the building that we already cleared out previously. And from there, he would take casualties, he would take occupants, and that would usually be like people who were searched, people who weren't searched, and then also, you know, potential combatives that were just detained. So it is nice to have that sort of control. You definitely need it in a sort of environment like this. And of course, letting one of the bad guys move around without anyone controlling them is not going to be a good time either. But yeah, so like we usually see with the SAS, these tactics definitely hold true to today. Again, a lot of this stuff is different from what I was trained to do, because I was more of nuclear security, sort of recapturing nuclear facilities. And with that, of course, it needs to be a lot more slow and methodical. You need to make sure you check every little nook and cranny to make sure that you're covering down on everything, making sure that you have full accountability of all the employees that actually work there. So it was definitely a doozy. The facilities and whatnot that we were responsible for were pretty freaking complicated. So that's why we had to be really slow, because if we were moving too quick, it is really, really easy to hide in those sorts of facilities. So that's why we needed to be spot on with making sure we check everything before we move past that area. But really, really cool. The tactics hold true as far as hostage rescue. Again, some of the equipment has definitely changed, which has changed the tactics a little bit, but it is still really cool. I'm sure these tactics would still hold up very, very well today. And a lot of this stuff is designed by the SAS, and they make equipment just for their tactics, which you don't see too much, which I gotta say, is pretty freaking cool to see. And again, you guys already know I love flashbangs. I love utilizing flashbangs. I wish the US military used them more, at least just the general infantry. You like really never use flashbangs. At least I never had experience with flashbangs in the infantry besides my sort of CQB team. But yeah, they're an awesome tool to increase survivability. And of course, just add to that speed, surprise, and violence of action you want in CQB. But this was a lot of fun. Again, I do love these episodes. I'll put the original video in the description. This video will probably get copyright claimed because, I mean, they always do. But it is really cool to check out. And hopefully you guys were able to enjoy it. If you guys have any sort of perspective that you have from your training, whether it be with CQB or any other equipment that we saw in here, definitely throw it down below, because it is sort of cool. There's a lot of ways to do CQB. Some of them are better than others, but some, it all really depends on your equipment and your sort of mission sets and what you're really trying to focus on. But if you have any sort of experience or opinions to add down below, definitely do so. Thank you guys again for watching. If you guys liked it, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. That is it for this video. I'll see you on the next one.